I did it. I finally finished reading Mean Spirited by Nick Roberts. Finally getting to his work. I've had this and the first two Exorcist House books on my shelf for a little bit now. You know, you know how it is. The physical TBR always just sitting there taunting you. Uh, and this is an all-timer. This is going to be like a modern classic that we're going to look back on and be like, wow, this was something really special. Uh, but as you don't know, it follows Matt. He is a teacher, an English teacher, and he reads on the news that one of his old students has died. And so he goes to her house to pay respects, and her dog runs up and he's like, oh shit, the dog's like no longer has, an owner or whatever. And so takes him to his ex-wife who's a vet. He gets the dog checked out, decides, well, I guess I'll, bring the dog home or whatever. Good for his son and stuff like that, get some goodwill. You have the divorced parent situation with the kid and whatnot, so may as well make his house a little bit more appealing. And some weird stuff starts happening, and people around the town start dying, and what's happening targets him and his family, and it's like figuring out what's going on, how can we stop this, all that stuff. And this is such a original paranormal supernatural type of book that goes into some well-worn territory and clearly wears its influences on its sleeve, but it doesn't feel unoriginal. It's very much in this area where sometimes you can go into like some place that's just been done so many times before, whether it's tropes, some character related things or themes, and you go, okay, this is just like, what are you doing that's different and stuff like that. And instead of it feeling generic, it feels more like comforting. Like it's more like, oh, this is like kind of nice that we're kind of in some familiar territory while also getting into some very original stuff. The character work was fantastic. The arc for these two parents who've been divorced and have been kind of not a good relationship. They do their best to be co-parents, but with his alcoholism, it's really torn a rift between the two of them and created some resentment there. And I think the journey of them as individuals and also as a couple is really interesting and powerful. And I thought there were such brilliant ways he did this, especially with the other characters. All the side characters are all fantastic. It immediately jumped out how great the character work is, and the ghost stuff was pretty original, like for the most part. Like it's how many things can you do with a ghost, really, and like, or supernatural paranormal stuff or whatever, and it's just like the door closes, the door opens, or something under the bed, all that stuff. But like the direction it takes finds originality, even if it's using some well-worn tropes, and it gets into some stuff that's legitimately scary, but and then also couples it with some insane brutality and some body horror. And I think this is what horror kind of needs: is you can deliver body horror or the something's lurking in the shadows or whatever, but what really makes something scary is if you can kind of cycle around through different things. And so this, it has the brutality and gore, it has the creepy stuff in the shadows, and a person being creepy, a dog being creepy, a child being creepy, all that type of stuff. And then just there's this other sort of tools that he uses to deliver the scares. And there's very few books that I would say are scary or scared me or gave me chills. And this is, I would say, one of the scariest books I've read in a very, very long time. And I just, I can't say enough good things about it. I can't wait to get to the Exorcist house and read more of Nick Roberts' work. People always say how goated he is, and obviously I've only read one book, so I'm not going to go to goat status immediately. I don't think anyone should go there for anyone's one book that they've read or whatever. But he definitely has the sauce, that is for sure. And I can't wait to read more. If you've read Mean Spirited or any of his other work, let me know. What do you think about Nick Roberts? And you can check out my Substack. I post my videos on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Follow me anywhere. And my book, The Huntress and Trickster, is available now. And I will hopefully be getting my horror novel released this year. but publishing, it's a glacial pace there. So more updates on that eventually.